Hello there. We're at the prestigious residential area in Magadan in the far east of Russia, where mainly large businessmen, gold miners and high officials live. But we've come here to a person who doesn't deal with gold nor works in government agencies. He promotes technologies here in Magadan, and the house behind me is where he lives. It is fully heated and powered with solar panels. So today we will find out what this thing is and how one can live in Magadan without depending on the electrical grid and heating pipes. Well, we're visiting Kirill Ettenko, CEO of Arbuz company. Let's go. Hi Kirill. Many people in Magadan heard about you and your Arbuz, but for those who didn't, what are you doing? Probably the best job in the world. I'm a communication man. First of all, and a power engineer, that is Internet and communications. Internet, communication channels, television and everything associated with it. And you started doing this? On May 25th, 1998. What happened that day? The Arbuz was established. I received a certificate of registration of a legal entity in the city hall. I keep it under chamomile in my office. And then we launched the first internet cafe in the Far East. Where was it? Karl Marx Street 24, next to the Consumer Services Center, if you remember. There was the Institute of Biological Problems of the North previously, and then this building was transferred to the International Research and Development Center of the Arctic. And we deployed our internet cafe there. There were 6 computers. But the internet cost big money, and you could come and surf, print something out, and there were lots of students at that time who printed their essays, as you could download some materials from the web. And play also. That was just the beginning. And there, on mail.ru, we had our first email account. A very old one. The origins of internet, I can still remember it. And now you're also in fiber optics. But how much has life changed in Magadan when they brought fiber optics? We already had the last segment of the line leading to clients made of fiber optics long before the main trunk was traced from the mainland. It was LAN, local area network. Yes, quite popular. And all operators were developing those local networks, pirated movies. It took days and weeks to download from what was called Pirate Base, like torrents and the stuff. And they were then distributed to subscribers from local servers. When broadband internet came officially, it was just June 2016, at least on the 1st of June we got an access to the operator level. Everyone realized that it would die off, and all those home networks, they like withered away. They lost all the sounds. Now everyone has high-speed internet, with different ports and different speeds. I think that internet in Magadan is on a good level, honestly. I saw the way it is provided in different countries as well as in various Russian regions. And here in Magadan, it's on a good level. Even more, the pricing is absolutely adequate. And when I hear people complaining that we have such an expensive internet in Magadan, I'd say those are food prices that are expensive, but the internet is reasonable. But 100 megabits in St. Pete cost 500 rubles a month, and we have 50 megabits. I guess there are such rates for 2,300 rubles. Well, look, Andrei, the basket of consumer goods here costs different money, and our consumer price index differs from St. Pete, and our salaries are slightly higher than in Central Russia. So concerning the value for money factor, as well as a decent standard of life, compared with the monthly consumer basket, the internet price is cheaper than utility bills. Well, that's right. You understand, it's not just something that someone came up with. Let's make internet price to be 2,000 rubles or 5,000. Of course, it's better as we are businessmen. But this is made up of some associated costs of fuel, salaries, logistics, services, letting alone the electricity that we consume. Thus, I believe that this price is absolutely justified. Today, Rostelecom, the Russia's largest provider of digital services, is a monopolist. Yes, Rostelecom is in that position. This is a trunk communication operator, and in fact, we always insisted that this is wrong. A decade ago, we had a city telephone exchange and a telegraph station and Rostelecom separately, and being a large service provider, it became that good old trunk operator, almost military-oriented. When the whole business was combined, we got that Rostelecom, which we have now. It deals with trunk communication lines and works for retail. Therefore, in Magadan, as well as other regions with no alternative backbone operators, everything depends on them. My idea, if they deal with trunk lines, they should stick to wholesale market and let the local operators work for retail or some kind of small wholesale, since we don't have our own communication line. And it turns out that we are all tied up to the pricing policy that Rostelecom dictates by dumping it. You can't expect any price growth, only dumping. So I think that way would be better. I have no idea if the situation will be resolved somehow or not, but it would be much easier and more convenient for local operators. Another reason we came to you is that you are doing solar generators here. As far as I remember, you are a distributor of Havel company. And this house, where we are now, can be fully or partially heated and receive electricity from solar panels. Please tell us about this. Right. The second area that we're actively promoting in our region is alternative energy. It stands for renewable energy sources. Those are solar panels and photovoltaic cells. But besides the panels, there are many others. Our people, especially those who live in villages near the motorway, they are familiar with our piece of art, rescue shelters, which is powered entirely from autonomous sources. Yes, you got it right. The house that I live in with my family, it is energized with renewable power. I have a full-fledged professional solar power plant. Wait a second, how many square meters are here? 257 square meters, and the area is covered with heating and light, right? That's right. The heat comes from an individual boiler, and I have another one which is electrical. I also have a diesel boiler for heating, and there's a bathhouse, the favorite place of mine, which is heated with electricity. That is 50 square meters more additional to the house. Remember, that one is almost 300 meters, plus a garage with a basement of about 100. And all of this is energized from the solar panels. Let's see how it works. No problem, got to show you everything. As I understand, the solar panels on the roof feed the batteries here. What do they do? That's right, not directly like this. We have 36 panels. They are divided into blocks of 12 panels each, and every 12 panels are connected to an individual controller. Since I have a three-phase system, well, everyone knows, the first, the second phase and neutral, each phase has a separate controller and a charging one from the solar panels. So the solar energy is fed into this thing, which is considered to be a brain of the system. And this thing decides whether to charge the batteries or to energize consumers, and when there's no sun, no electricity, it decides to take energy from the accumulators and feed it to consumers, like for household. What we see now, 22 watts coming from the sun as it is evening already, and this morning I observed 3 kilowatts, that is 3 kilowatt plus. It is winter and the weather is cold, so the heating is consuming 7 kilowatts, well, 7,912 watts to be precise. Everything is simply shown on the screen. I love the Dutch for their dedication to the client's usability. The mimics display everything clearly. You can see how many batteries are needed, you can see how much energy the mains receives, and how much is consumed in real time. And when there is more solar energy, especially in the spring and summertime, the charge is much higher. It is sufficient to charge the batteries and to consume from the sun during the entire day at the same time. At night, when the sun goes down, your house is energized from the accumulator batteries, and this makes it to be a fully independent operation. And you never depend on the grid, don't you? Absolutely not. Well, I started this system as a pilot in August, and during the August-September period, I was fed from the solar panels completely. Honestly, without using controllers. See, there are 3 of them. There were 2 installed, which surprised me a lot. It's a 2-phase system. But my mates told me this is a common situation in Europe. 2 phases instead of 3. Now you can see how it properly works and how the system looks like. And what is that? This is an electric control room. So the controllers that receive energy distribute it to consumers. Can you see the 3 buses here? Those are the ground, the first and the second floors. Here, it is distributed to some loads, be it the lighting, or sockets, or a stove, pump, fuel boiler, bathhouse, shed and the like. The design is simple, plus there's a dedicated switching system with a sort of a bypass inside. In case something breaks, this thing will simply switch you to the grid, and you'll keep the power, and at the same time we'll be able to fix something and see what's going on there. We do our best to make everything as easy to maintain as possible. And what is here? And this is our mini station. As the area where I live is rather far away from the city, at the seaside, the neighbors take advantage of my internet line. Moreover, it is powered with environment-friendly electricity. But the price, it seems to be the same. We don't charge more than we should.
Слушай, ну главный вопрос, наверное, а во сколько тебе
And
обошлась
how much is
вся эта
this system?
система, вот
I mean,
панели,
inclusive of
контроллеры,
panels, controllers,
аккумуляторы
batteries, and all the
и автомобиль
works.
работа?
Значит, эта штука
This thing
ориентировочно около 2
cost
миллионов.
roughly
Это
2
под
million
ключ.
rubles, turnkey.
Это крутая штука.
But that's a
Это,
hardcore
не знаю,
stuff.
Мерседес, так
A
сказать.
Mercedes
Не Lada.
instead of a Lada.
Лада тоже ездит. И
You
Мерседес
can
ездит.
drive either of them,
Поэтому, если люди, которые захотят ставить себе такую солнечную
and if you need a solar power
ее можно взять
system,
проще и
it can
дешевле.
actually be made easier and
В пределах,
cheaper.
например, там дом там
How
Я
much
думаю,
for
это
100 square meters?
Все зависит от потребления. Если вам,
Depends on the
предположим,
consumption.
нужно, там, 10
If, for
киловатт,
example,
то
your house needs 10 kilowatts, or 5, or 6, or 7 kilowatts, let's say it's not very big, you will pay from 5 to 600,000 rubles. Is it turnkey?
Обычно
Yes.
ценовая политика идет такая. Ну, по России
Normally, the
вообще,
pricing
вот,
policy is as
Магаданская
follows.
область, которую мы
In
смотрим,
Russia, and specifically in the Magadan region,
мы берем 20%.
we charge 20%, well, from 15 to 20 of equipment and installation cost.
Поэтому просто если вы хотите там крутяцкое, хорошее, там,
If you want a hot
оборудование,
stuff,
это стоит одни
it will
деньги.
cost accordingly.
Или же можно взять,
Everyone
российский
understands.
аналог.
Or, for example, you can
Хорошие,
install Russian
ну,
equipment.
достойные модели,
There are
которые
absolutely good
на
models
порядок
that are
дешевле,
much
чем
cheaper
домашние.
than the ones
Вы
made in
понимаете,
Holland.
что
You
доллар,
know,
евро
the exchange
не
rate
устанавливается.
does not depend on
Поэтому,
us,
если вот
but the
считать
pricing
нынешние
is
цены,
based on that.
если бы это делал бы
If I made this in 2014, when a dollar or euro cost 40 rubles,
тогда было бы
then the
там,
price would
не
have
2
been
миллиона
1
рублей.
million instead of 2.
Вот. И еще один очень важный момент – это вот аккумуляторные
Plus,
батареи. То есть
the
основная
batteries is a very
вся,
important factor.
стоимость
The main part of the
экономика
price
солнечной
falls
подстанции
on the
заключается
batteries,
от
power
АКГ,
accumulation
накопления,
system, and
и
solar
от,
controllers.
солнечных контроллеров. Солнечные панели, они недорогие.
The solar panels are relatively cheap.
И более того скажу, я вот сейчас
Moreover,
слышал,
I
что
heard that
некоторые
some
банки
major
наши,
banks are
они
developing a
разрабатывают,
specific
такую
leasing
лизинговую
program
программу
for private
для
entities.
людей.
That is
Вот
for
как вы
people.
приходите купить автомобиль в кредит.
As if you
Так вы
came
можете
to
купить
buy a
солнечную
car on
подстанцию,
credit,
например,
you
на
can
5
buy a
лет.
solar power
За
plant
5
in the
лет она у
same
вас
way,
отобьется,
let's say for
и
5
это реально
years.
увидите
And in
экономию.
5 years, you'll pay it off
И
and
плюс,
really see
скажем,
the
это будет
savings.
накладно по карману.
10
Там,
or
например,
15,000 a month is an affordable price.
чтобы у вас
Plus,
своя
you have your own energy.
Ну, когда отобьется
What
примерно.
is your payoff
Я считаю,
period?
ориентировочно с тем коэффициентом повышения
Judging by the
на
existing
услуги
inflation
электричества,
index
которые, ну, продает,
related
там,
to electricity services sold by local utility providers,
порядка 3-3,5
the
лет.
payoff is going to take approximately 3 to 3.5 years, and that's it, you pay off your investments.
Там еще в самый
You'll
вкусный
start
момент,
making
вот, на самом
money.
деле.
But
Я
the
надеюсь, что
tasty
всё-таки в этом
thing is,
году
I
до
hope
конца
that this
будет
year,
оформлена
by the end of it,
документация.
they will complete all the regulatory
Вы
documentation, and
так как
since
вы
you'll
являетесь
become a
генерирующей
power generation
компанией,
company
генерирующей
or a generating
электрический
individual,
дом, то есть
you will
генерируете
generate
свою
your own
электричество.
electricity, like Kolyma HPP, but smaller, and especially in the summer, you will sell the surplus of it back to the power grid. They will be paying you. Such legislation will be enacted soon,
Круто. Причем,
and it will be based on
по
the
тарифу
tariffs.
платить, да? По-
This is where the hitch comes in. Power companies lobby for their interests as they need to live on something. Even if you are buying energy roughly for 4 rubles, and they will buy from you for 1.5, you will still get savings. If we count everything, I think that the money that you save in the summer and generate power during that time, you will simply spend this amount for the winter period. That will be fantastic, honestly. This is the future, and our region has a very good location in terms of solar activity. Chukotka is worse, Yakutsk in Yakutia, they have less sun there. Magadan is in a very favorable location, to be honest.
Ты был в Европе, за рубежом,
You were abroad in
там
Europe,
солнечные батареи
and
это
solar
прям тема.
panels is an
То есть,
important
их
topic
все
there.
больше и больше.
They're constantly
Электромобили,
developing such
солнечные батареи
technologies,
и
electric
возобновляемые
vehicles,
источники
solar
энергии.
panels, and
Насколько
renewable
мы
energy
здесь
sources.
отстали от
How
того,
far
что
are we
происходит,
behind their
я имею в
main
виду в России?
trends?
Ну, по развитию вообще электроэнергии,
We may not be far behind in terms of power generation.
энергии. Мы это можем
Our
объяснить
weakest
оставить. Мы
point, to
оставили
my
на
mind, is
технологии.
technology
Да,
development.
согласен. У нас на самом деле есть отличные, классные решения.
We do have excellent solutions in Russia as well as in neighboring countries.
Да, то есть наших соседей. Там солнечные панели, да.
There are solar panels and wind generators.
Ветроэлектростанции есть отличные, ветрогенераторы. Очень сейчас популярно идет
Hydrogen energy is very popular now.
на первом месте.
It is in the first place.
Что будет в последующем.
It will be very much in demand in the future, additionally to hydrocarbons.
Да, которых сейчас у нас очень много.
There's plenty of it in Russia, but Europe has developed much faster in this area because they have very expensive hydrocarbons.
В одной компании очень такой крутяцкой, да,
In some Russian company, I was told once, look, you are offering panels and some savings, but you have to understand that as long as we have a heap of oil and gas, those won't be in great demand. I disagree with this opinion. Let me explain why. Everything is getting more expensive year by year, including electricity, hydrocarbons, that stands for gasoline and diesel fuel. This happens in Magadan and the region, as well as in Russia in general. And the sun is a renewable source. Once you invested your money or the funds borrowed from bank in such a power plant, you can really save a lot. And within 5 years, there's some margin, you will get your payoff. And who knows, tomorrow they may stop subsidizing electricity payments, and we will have 1 kilowatt for 13 rubles instead of just 3, and you will evidently save a lot on this. I am not saying it's an all-heal recipe, that solar panels will solve all your issues. Of course not. The solution that I have in my house is a hybrid system. Some part is taken from the grid, and the other part from the sun. In the summer, we have really a lot of sunlight. We are on a par with Ankara in Turkey in terms of solar energy quality. There's a special atlas of solar activity, and you can calculate it. Speaking about Europe, I know that in Germany, where I visit very often, there's a large number of projects subsidized by the government. But as I said before, this is because they don't have enough of hydrocarbons. However, they have advanced technologies, and I'm implementing them here in Magadan, because the panels that I installed are made in Russia, yes. I use Dutch controllers, as the Dutch are considered high-level engineers and developers of electronic software, and the batteries are from Germany. And what is Russian? The panels are. Chinese panels will also do, no questions, but you know, it depends on the person. You don't want an Econobox like some Russian Zaporozhets or Oka, but at least a Toyota. The same is in this industry. You can buy a very cheap Chinese panel, but the efficiency, how much energy it will produce, and how long it will work for you, it is completely different compared to Russian high-quality solar panels. They are much more expensive than Chinese ones, but it depends on what task you set for yourself. Do you want to generate electricity, or are you planning to warm up your house with it, or are you seeking a so-to-say solar collector? Next year I will introduce it and see how it works. A solar collector is your heating through pipes. Those who travel to the central or southern regions of Russia or abroad, to Turkey, Egypt or somewhere else, they can see such pipes on house roofs. This thing heats up water to supply heating and hot water, and it can warm your house up to 40 degrees when it's minus 30 outside. To my mind, this is a good efficiency, and of course this technology can be introduced here.
скажем, у нас 21
We
век,
live in the
да, то есть
21st century.
nanotechnology,
Nanotechnology,
всё идет вперед, то есть пора уже
everything is
заканчивать
moving forward,
топиться
so it's time to stop heating
углем да, и
houses
дровами.
with
То есть
coal
есть
and
другие
wood.
способы, скажем,
There
более
are other alternative
альтернативные и
ways,
более,
say,
может быть,
more
эффективные
efficient and energy saving
энергосберегающие, да,
than
нежели
coal
там,
and
там, дрова. Ну,
firewood.
я ни в коем
But
случае
I'm
не
not
хочу сказать, что
saying
это
that
плохо.
using them
Я
is
просто говорю, что
bad.
есть
Уважаемый «Газпром».
You can
Да,
address
ты
to
можешь
Gazprom
обратиться, да.
now.
Ну да, газа-то у нас
Well,
нет, да, к
yes.
сожалению. Хотя газ,
Unfortunately,
на
we
самом
have
деле,
lots
это
of
классная
gas.
штука.
At
И
the
вот
same
честно скажу,
time,
вот
it
водород,
is a
прям мы сейчас
science-intensive
занялись этой
resource,
темой.
and we are
Я
currently
ее
mastering
студирую, и где-то
hydrogen-based
в начале
technologies.
февраля
This
к нам приедут
February,
в
I'm
гости
expecting my
в
partners to
Магадан
visit here
партнеры мои из компании InEnergy и
from
из компании Космос
InEnergy and
Нефтьгаз.
Cosmos
И вот мы будем
Gas.
разговаривать с
We
ними
are
по
planning to
поводу
discuss
внедрения
hydrogen
собственных
fuel
ячеек
cells for our communication projects.
пока на наши связистские проекты на водороде. То есть
This is good stuff,
штука
though
классная,
there's an
единственное, что
issue
все упирается
with
в
logistics
логистику
of
именно
hydrogen
самого газа,
supplies.
то есть или
It can be
водорода,
produced
либо
here or
его
brought from
делать,
some
производить
neighboring
здесь, либо
regions.
возить его откуда-то из
But
соседних
all
регионов.
things are difficult
Вот. Ну,
before
как
they are
говорится, глаза
easy.
боятся, руки делают, и
I do
я
believe
думаю,
hydrogen is a
водород, ну,
promising
это
thing.
хорошая
This
штука,
is also
будем
our
так
future.
Так, теперь расскажи,
Now
что
tell me
это
what
за
this is.
штука.
Хорошая сноповязалка, да?
A monster thing, isn't
Ну,
it?
это арт-объект.
Is
или
it a
что?
piece of art?
Значит,
This is a cell phone
это
transmitter
автономная
station.
базовая станция сотовой связи. Это прототип.
Yet a
Это
prototype.
первый экземпляр. Он сейчас
On the
находится в стадии
testing stage
тестирования.
now.
В принципе,
Actually,
она
it's
полноценная
a
сотовая
full-fledged
станция,
equipment.
которая находится, вот если видно, там висят передатчики.
Can you see transmitters hanging over there?
Эта штука покрывает обычной
This
стандартной
thing
сотовой
covers
связью 60 километров.
60 kilometers with
Если
standard cell
поставить, то
phone
вокруг на 60
communications.
километров
It
будет
covers 60
60
kilometers
60 градусов.
around
То есть, грубо говоря, вот
at an
первый
angle of
лепесток,
60
второй, да, то есть
degrees.
один
Roughly
30
speaking,
километров
there's
в бок
one
и
lobe
другой
and
30 километров.
another hitting 30
Это наша
kilometers
разработка.
each. This is
Следующий
our
шаг,
solution.
которую мы хотим установить
We are
вот
planning
на
to
нашей
install
трассе
it
на
at the
Калужской.
Kolyma
Все знают про
motorway.
пикеты, ну, может быть, все знают, кто-то не знает.
Everyone knows
Там
about
что-то
the rescue
ограничено.
shelters. Well,
100, там,
maybe
200
someone
метров.
doesn't.
Эта
They
штука
have limited
полноценно
coverage,
будет
over
делать
100
сотовую связь
meters. This
без
thing will provide
традиционной
mobile
электроэнергии. То
communication
есть
without
на
conventional electricity.
вот этом вот прототипе собрано
In
15
this
киловатт
thing, 15
на солнечной
kilowatts are
энергетике
solar-based,
и
and
2 киловатта,
something
1
about
киловатт
1 or 2
на
kilowatts are
электрохимических
based on
генераторах.
electrochemical
Вот немецких,
generators.
которые мы
That is
работаем,
German
которые
equipment we are
стоят также
working
в
with, which is
пикетах
also
на связи.
installed in our
Сколько она
rescue
стоит?
shelters.
Вообще это
It
удовольствие
cost
стоит
16.5
16,5
million
миллионов.
rubles.
Вот мы его
This is
продаем.
our sales price.
Естественно, скажем,
Well, for the
как
first
первый
thing, of
экземпляр.
course.
Далее это, скажем,
10,
там будет
15
там 10,
pieces will
15,
cost
то, конечно,
less.
мы по цене подвинемся.
But you
Но
know what?
скажу так,
It costs
обычную
about
базовую
5-6
станцию у
million to install
поставить
an
стоит
ordinary
порядка
base station,
5-6
or
миллионов.
7 million
7
already,
наверное,
with the
с
current
нынешними
fuel or energy
ценами на
rates,
топливо и на
exclusive of power
энергоносители,
lines.
без энергии.
And here is
А здесь
completely
полностью
smart
автономная штука,
equipment
которая
that works
работает
24/7
24 на
all
7,
year round,
365 дней в году.
and it
И не
does not
привязана
depend
к
on any energy
энергетическим
lines at
каким-то
all.
линиям.
Let's see
Давай
what's
посмотрим, что
inside.
находится внутри.
Let's go.
Пойдем? Так. Значит,
So
что мы
this is
здесь
what we
имеем?
have here.
Two
Two electrochemical generators. Well, that's the back side. If you hear such clicks,
щелчки,
the sun is setting and the solar controllers think that there is no power supply. This is normal. A control system. It is a communication system. This is what is called the brain and a junction box for communication. There are service phones, a control and alarm system. There's an inverter to be on the safe side, which converts 48 volts, since this is a 48-volt circuit, to 220 volts. Well, it's a service deck to charge a laptop, flashlight, or whatever for service guys. But we don't have any heating room like in our rescue shelters. It is purely standalone cell phone base station.
Аккумуляторные батареи. литиум-ионные, вот модные
Four
такие,
rechargeable
говорят.
batteries, lithium-ion ones, up to the
Эти 4
latest
штуки.
trend.
Общая емкость этих
Their
аккумуляторов
total
составляет 600
capacity is 600
Чтобы
Ah.
перевести на русский язык,
In plain
откуда эти
language,
аккумуляторы вытащены
these
из этого
batteries
оборудования, я вам
can
скажу.
keep
Четверо
powering equipment
без
for
солнца,
4 days
без
without the sun and
электрохимических
without
генераторов, либо
electrochemical
каких-то
generators
отдельных
or any
источников,
other autonomous sources.
генерирующих электричество.
All of
Четверо
this
суток.
will work
Эта
for
штука
4
будет работать.
days. Let's go to the front
Спереди
side.
покажу.
So,
Здесь получается система управления.
this is where the control system
Ну,
is
в общем так,
located.
базовая станция. То есть вот это вот,
It consists of a base station,
Huawei, по-моему, 9000-я модель
Huawei
базовой станции,
9000 that provides cell
именно
phone
делает и
services.
предоставляет услуги сотовой связи.
And this is a power
А это
supply
уже система
control and
контроля
management
управления
system.
электропитанием.
It
Это
was
тоже
produced by
хорошая
another
очень
very
фирма.
good
Если вы в
firm.
доме вы меня видели, у
If
меня
you
там
saw
Victron,
Victron
это
at home,
голландцы,
the
то
Dutch
Altec, это
manufacturer,
норвежцы. Это
then
норвежская
Altec is a
компания.
Norwegian one.
В принципе,
It
работает
works
она
all
хорошо,
right, there are
претензий к
no
ней нет,
complaints about it.
но Victron
Still,
лучше.
Victron is better.
Видим
You can
контроллеры
see a
солнечных
solar panel
батарей
controller,
и плюс
plus
есть
there are
отдельно
two
два
redundant
резервных
controllers.
контроллера. Это третий
Therefore, the
источник
third power source
электропитания,
that we're
который мы
going to
поставим, это будет
install, a
бензиновая
gasoline
станция,
generator.
ну, бензиновый генератор.
Well,
Для
what
чего
are we
мы его
using it for?
используем? На,
Let's say
скажем,
just in
всякий случай.
case.
Если на пикетах мы
In our
используем
rescue
два источника
shelters,
питания,
we're
здесь
using
мы
two
хотим будет
sources,
три.
here
Понятно,
three.
дизельные электростанции
It
не
is clear
подойдут нам
that
по
diesel plants
климатическим
won't do
условиям,
in terms of climatic
но
conditions,
бензин,
but
я
gasoline,
думаю,
I think,
выдержит минус
will
60.
withstand
Единственное,
minus
что да,
60
будет еще
degrees.
отдельно сделан
And we will
будет
cover it with a
термобокс для
dedicated
того, чтобы
thermobox so
при
that at
минусовых
sub-zero
температурах
temperatures all the
все
parts that are
детали,
in the
которые
lubricant
находятся в
could
смазке,
function well.
они могли функционировать хорошо.
This
Ну,
is
это
our
там наше
know-how,
ноу-хау,
thus we
чтобы
will warm
подогревать
up
всё
the
это
whole
дело.
thing.
Электрохимия,
Electrochemistry,
да?
right?
Это
Correct.
да, значит, это
This
новая
is the
модель, вернее,
latest,
последняя
more
модель и более
powerful
мощная
model of
электрохимических
electrochemical
генераторов.
generators,
Это
E4
в
Pro
компании
12,000 by
Pro
SFC.
12 тысяч. Каждая из вот этих
Each
вот
of those produces
электрохимических
500
генераторов
watts.
вырабатывает 500
We
ватт.
specifically
Мы здесь
obtain 1
конкретно
kilowatt of clean
получаем 1
energy,
киловатт чистой энергии, которого
which
хватает
is
для
enough to
заряда
charge the
аккумуляторов
batteries and to
и
power
для
up the
питания
base
базовой
station.
станции. Мы на самом деле
We've
добились
made tremendous
колоссальных
strides that
успехов,
everything you
что вот
see
это
now
все, вот то, что вы
uses
сейчас видите, потребляет
489 watts.
489 ватт.
Really?
Реально.
Neither
Ни
3,
три,
not
ни
2,
два, ни
not 4
4 киловатта,
kilowatt
как
what cell
говорят
phone
операторы,
operators can
а
provide you with,
489
but
ватт.
little less
То
than
есть мы сделали
500
таким
only.
образом, что
The
для нас
peculiarity of our
вычисляли
solution
каждый
is
ватт.
that we were
То есть,
able to
когда люди меня
calculate
уже
each
спрашивают,
watt.
как профессионально,
Sometimes
у меня, говорит, там
professionals tell me,
киловатт-два. Я
I
говорю,
have
подожди,
1 kilowatt or 2
киловатт-два?
there. I say,
Ты
wait,
конкретно в
could you
ваттах.
say exactly
Скажите,
how many
сколько
watts?
мерить в ваттах. Поэтому мы сделали, мы считаем каждый
We
ватт для
count
того,
every
чтобы
watt in order to
сделать расчет
calculate the
автономности.
self-efficiency.
И штуковина это работает. Осталось только
And
теперь
this
ее,
thing
ну, я
really
думаю, на
works.
следующий год ее
Next year
запустить
we're
в
launching it
пилотный,
for field testing at
скажем,
some
тест
severe
на
location along the
трассу.
motorway
На
to
какой-нибудь там самый
cover
страшный перевал.
60 kilometers with cellular communication.
Покрыть сотовой связью 60 километров.
Cool. We are doing our best.
Да, и вопрос, как ты
I have a
решился
question. How
построить
did you
здесь
decide
дом
to build a
на
house
Магадане?
here?
Это
I mean in
вообще
Magadan.
такая история.
Oh, this is a very special story.
У меня есть
I have a friend of mine
сосед, который чуть
who
выше меня
lives
живет.
just above me.
Он в свое время построил здесь дом.
When he built this house, he came to me and said,
Протяни мне сюда
"Listen,
интернет.
can you trace internet here?"
Ну, это будет довольно-таки дорого стоить.
I replied, "It will be quite expensive to bring it from the city."
Ну, приезжай ко мне в гости, я тебе
He
дом
said,
покажу.
"Come and visit me.
Хорошо, я
I'll show
приеду
you
к
the
тебе,
house."
посмотрю твой дом. Приехал,
I say, "Okay, I will."
дом,
And I did.
его закончил,
By that time, he had just finished all the
Слушай, у нас
construction.
где-то есть участки здесь.
It was 2013 or 2014, so he says, "Look, we have some land here. Do you fancy to buy?"
Я говорю, ну,
And I say, "I have no
хорошо.
money." He
Ну,
says,
пошли,
"It's okay, you
посмотри.
can purchase it by
Я иду домой,
installments."
говорю жене, слушай, говорю, ну,
And I say, "All right."
Яшка
And
растет,
he showed me
там,
everything. Then I returned home and told my wife,
говорю, может, дом построим?
"What if we build a house for our
Ну,
kids?"
давай попробуем, почему нет.
So she
В
agreed.
общем, купил я эту
I
землю
finally bought this land
и залез.
and got absorbed in
Как
it.
говорится, по уши в строительство этого дома.
I'm constantly traveling around Russia and other countries, and many people prefer private houses to live in. I do not consider it to be kind of luxury. Just cut your coat according to the cloth. If you want a golden toilet and you have enough money, go ahead. Do you want a palace with a bell tower, with a long-rumored mud room and aqua disco? Well, I've never been to such places. You are free to buy your everything. Seriously, considering the real estate rates in the city, if you invest a little more money, you can build a normal house of 100 square meters. And your house, is it prefabricated from sandwich panels? No, it is made of laminated logs. I bought it before the crisis, and its total area is 257 square meters, and it cost me 4.5 million, including material delivery from Moscow. That's the price of an apartment in Magadan. Yes, an apartment in Magadan costs that much. You see, if you have the desire and the means to build a house, and you have a choice to buy an apartment, it is better to build a house. You are the master of your home. It goes well with the classic, a real man needs to build a house, to raise kids, and have you sown a tree? Yeah, and a few wild oats in my time. Okay, thanks, Kirill. Thank you very much. See you.